Wait, what color were the different panels of Harry's car again? Okay.
Which book?
Let's go over here in orange. Okay, at what point did I realize that Charity had had her own experience with the magical world and was being a practitioner in the past? And at what point did I know that Molly was going to be Harry's apprentice? And the answer to that is when they appeared. I knew that Charity just couldn't stand Dresden, and I had to have a good reason for her to really not stand him. And really, the best reason that anybody could possibly have for not liking somebody is because they remind them of themselves, of something they hated themselves. So I thought that was just perfect. And then I gave her all kinds of good rational reasons on top of that to not like her. You get my husband in trouble and arrested and beat up. Okay, well, good point. As far as Molly going, I knew she was going to be his apprentice by the end of that first book she showed up in, or no, not by the end of that one. By the end of Death Masks. By the time she was sitting there with the Knight of the Cross, prank calling grocery stores with him, just to play around with his head, you know, I was like, okay, yeah, she's not going to be able to get away from being dressed as an apprentice at this point. The very back of the black shirt. Am I a Game of Thrones fan? I like the TV show because I like Tyrion Evan Lannister. He's a great character. But as far as the actual story goes, I'm upset with it because for a fantasy novel, it has so little fantasy involved in it. I mean, there's all these. I mean, it's politics and backstabbing and people. It's like I've got people like this that are running my country right now. I mean, I don't even get this in my fantasy as well. You know, we get to all the way to the end of the first season of the HBO series, and it's like, and we've had one girl who didn't burn her hands when she should have, and a zombie, and that was it. It's like, no, give me a higher budget. I need more things I need more things that explode when you do something to them. At least True Blood level, you know, of supernatural coolness. Right here in blue. Can I explain the significance of the dagger that Leah gets? It is the same dagger that Harry uses on Lloyd and changes. I'll answer the second part of that first, which is no, it's not the same dagger. He uses one of Medea's knives in changes. And that dagger was, did this ever actually go into the books? Maybe not, I don't know. That dagger originally belonged to Morgan Le Fay, like the original Morgan Le Fay. That was her personal othame, her ritual knife, which is a big deal. As far as the significance of what it did, no, I'm still being coy about that. It's going to come into play later on, but suffice to say that an older and wickeder dagger was needed by Mab for such things as she used in the last book. In the green shirt. Maggie Le Fay was, okay, the question is, Maggie Le Fay, Morgan Le Fay, is that a generational name? Are they related? No, the Le Fay is something that kind of gets added as an honorific in the wizarding community. It's one of those kind of mixed names that you give somebody that is supposedly, oh, well, this is sort of a name that you earned, and so it's a mark of status. It also means you're insane. Which everybody thought Harry's mom was, being the big-time explorer of ways and hanging out with fairies and generally doing things that most wizards consider to be crazily, stupidly dangerous. Yeah, when you're somebody who can live for 300 or 400 years as long as nothing goes wrong, you tend to be a little conservative. You know, really, you get a lot of benefit from that. And certainly in Maggie's case, she was bucking the trend. And we'll probably get into a little bit more of why she was doing that later in the books. Right?
I'm from Minnesota, and I think
curious the entire time. What happened in Minnesota? You've got, and you went up to Minnesota, someone saw something in the water.
Somebody saw something in a lake, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, what happened?
I'll get there. That'll actually probably be a short story. That was what I originally had planned for all those mentions of between book things and things that had gone before and things that, and so on. I had originally planned those out so that I could write short stories later if I wanted, and still I. I had actually thought about doing that as a graphic novel, but they wanted something a little bit different, and to go after the Full Moon graphic novel. So I wrote an all new story up for them, which is actually cool enough that I'm like, this is cool. I should have made this a novella or a book or something myself. I almost feel bad I'm giving this one to the graphic novel, but that's okay. It'll be a good story. Right over here.
Okay, so at the end of Deadbeat, Harry threatens Maverick with saying that he understands how to use necromancy against the Black Court, and then the last thing Harry says to Lash is that they need to talk about outsiders and how they relate to the Black Court. Are the Black Court more than just, like, a court of vampires? Do they have, like, more metaphysical significance?
It's a long question, but what it amounts to is do the Black Court of Vampires, do they have more significance than just being just like corpsey vampires? Are they tied in somehow with the overstory of what's going on? And the answer to that is I'm a really lazy writer. And if I could possibly use something more than once or use it for more than one purpose, I will. And I'll leave it there. We're going to do 3 or 4 more questions, and we're going to stop and actually cite some books. So if I didn't get your question, I'm very sorry. We'll get a few more in, and then we'll go. Here in blue with glasses. Is Thomas going to be wielding a Maracas? I'm not sure, actually, where those going to fall out. There's several different places where I can put them, and all of them would be fun. And I'm just trying to figure out which ones are going to be the most fun. Over here in black.
You mentioned a couple of times that you use marriages to seal pacts and alliances. Will Harry ever be forced into a marriage and will it be with Laura?
Okay, I've mentioned several times that marriages are used to seal pacts and alliances. Will Harry ever be forced into a marriage and...
Will it be with Laura?
Wait.
Oh, and will it be with Laura? What makes you think Harry hasn't been forced into a marriage already? I mean, the whole thing with Matt, come on. That was, but read more book, and I read the most recent one here, and see if that doesn't give you some more answers. Certainly he's in it deep with Matt at the moment, because during none of this, he's going to get out of it because he was technically dead. Nah, way too easy. Okay, last one right here in gray. I'm having way too much fun with it. I'm working on another fantasy side project. Can I tell you anything about it? It is loosely based. It is. I wouldn't say loosely based. I would say it is influenced by the Black Company novels by Glenn Cook. Also, excellent fantasy if you've ever read them. And that it is what I think is going to be. It's called the Fortress trilogy, and I think it's going to be the prequel trilogy to my epic fantasy epic. That is so epic it needs a prequel trilogy. That's always been my dream, was to write the huge Swords and Horses fantasy, and we'll start off by writing a prequel trilogy for one, and we'll see what happens. But guys, thank you very much for putting up with me. I hope